Shalom, this is Amonute Tayac of Piscataway, your friendly neighborhood Shuman, Sophia Spiritualite, the AmaruKhan Miriyam. And we have a few things to discuss. This video specifically is going to be about that symbol. Well, not exactly about that symbol that Cat has on his chain right there, but my interpretation of how that symbol and why that symbol was presented to us in such a way. And so you see that symbol on our screen here, and it is called the Helm of Awe. And we are going to tie this into several different stories, several different accounts. It's just important for me to mention that to you, that where this is coming from. Before this interview that Kat did, one of the sisters had a dream in which she saw this symbol, and it's a very significant dream to her, which she shared with me. And we had been looking for this symbol, and when I saw the interview, I was like, hey, that was a symbol that you saw in your dream, based on her description. So upon some further digging into it today, there's a lot there that we want to just kind of discuss, not wrap up, but open up really a box of worms and begin to explain a few things in relation to this. So let's start with here. All right. So let me explain what's going on in this story right here. I'm going to start here, right? Yeah. No, let's start with the symbol. All right. So this strange magical symbol called a Agish Jalmer, or Helm of Awe, was believed to give the wearer power over the enemy in the same way that it would strike fear into the hearts and make them lose courage. The image on top is just one representation of this symbol, which you can see in other shapes as well. It makes sense that the Viking helmets would include such powerful and meaningful symbols. After all, they didn't have written language or books during that time. Dodge the hijack, of course. So they relied on symbols to tell their stories. Let's see. Here we go. It said that the Agish Jalmer was also used to ward off evil spirits and protect against nightmares. It's easy to see how this symbol might have been used for both of these purposes. It's a fierce-looking piece of jewelry with horns protruding from either side. It's large and heavy enough to be worn as jewelry. The ancient Vikings would have been proud to wear this symbol. They would have been proud to display it. They would have been able to display it proudly without anyone knowing its meaning beyond their culture. Today, however, we are more familiar with Norse mythology than most people in the past were. That means we can enjoy this beautiful design and its symbol while also understanding why it might have been so popular hundreds of years ago. So they have it on watches here. Listen, the true purpose of the Helm of Awe is unknown. But many people believe that it was created by an ancient civilization to protect humanity from the flood. Now, you know, when I saw this, it was like, well, whoa. They're protecting humanity from the flood? Whoa. Which groups of humanity are they protecting from the flood? Who is using this? And so, let's keep going. And I want to point this out. When you think about the Helm of Awe, what's the first thing that comes to mind? It is the symbol of the Norse god Odin adorning the heads of his warriors, or a beacon of light in the dark and dangerous world. Or maybe it's a fictional relic from the Tolkien Lord of the Rings, a magical object that makes his wearer more powerful by helping him focus his thoughts. The Helm of Awe, I'm just skipping over some of this stuff, is actually defined as a condition in which the feelings of an individual experience associated with awe, i.e. feelings of helplessness, insignificance, and temporal loss, while perceiving the vastness of nature. So if you ever felt like you were standing at the edge of a waterfall and were so awestruck by how enormous it was, you are probably rendered speechless. So the next text requires context. They say Titan Quest takes place in ancient Greece at a time when humans were still trying to figure out things like agriculture and metalworking. Dodge the hijack. In this world, you play as either warrior or mage, each with their own strengths and weaknesses, and you battle your way through different areas filled with monsters, traps, treasure chests, shrines to gods for you to pray at for power-ups and more. The warriors were especially good at taking on multiple enemies at once. They can hold their own in the thick of combat, and they have plenty of moves that do damage over time. The mage's powers are usually more focused on one target at a time. While they're able to unleash impressive single attacks, they're less equipped for standing up to a swarm of enemies all attacking them simultaneously. It's just repeating itself over and over and over again. Okay, so now let me talk about this whole Odin thing. When I think of Odin, this brings us back to the story that I told y'all in regards to Saul being possessed by Odin. And the reason why we know he was possessed by Odin is because in 1 Samuel 17, it specifically says that he tried to strike David with a javelin twice. The whole thing about the mythology of Odin is tied in with javelins, especially 2 javelins, one in each hand. So when you see that reference to a javelin in the Bible, you know they're referencing Odin. Okay? So it made me think of that story and say, well, how did David get away from him? What happened? So I'm not going to read all of this. Of course, I'll leave the links. Is this? Yeah, this is it. Okay, so this is when Saul is trying to take David out. Now, why does Odin want to take David out? I don't know. That is, yeah, we haven't gotten there yet. I'm just making the connection between Odin wanting to remove David, probably because of the coming Jesus, more than likely, and how David was able to get around this. So, it talks about the evil spirit. All right, so let's start at 19 and 11, and then we're going to move around a bit. Okay, Saul also sent messengers unto David's house to watch him and to slay him in the morning. And Michal, David's wife, told him, saying, If thou save not thy life tonight, tomorrow thou shalt be slain. So Michal let David down through a window. Now, when have we heard about people going through a window? If you remember, or if you've taken my Rhabdomancy course, that is what Rahab did. She let these people out down the window. That's what she did. So that is, again, showing the connection between this Michal and Rahab and the other women who were the protectors of these men, okay? And he went down and fled and escaped. And Michal took an image, laid it, an image. Ooh, that's it. It took an image. We're going to come back to that in 1 second. And laid it in the bed and put a pillow of goat's hair for his bolster and covered it with a cloth. And when Saul sent messengers to take David, she said, he is sick. And Saul sent the messengers again to see David, saying, Bring him to me in the bed, that I may slay him. And when the messengers were come in, behold, there was an image in the bed with a pillow of goat's hair for his bolster. Now, what is this image? Well, let's keep going. And Saul said unto Michal, Why have thou deceived me so, and sent away mine enemy that he escaped? And Michal answered Saul, he said unto me, Let me go. Why should I kill thee? So David fled and escaped and came to Samuel to Ramah and told him all that Saul had done to him. And Samuel went and dwelt in Naioth. Okay, so that's all we're going to read. We're going to talk about this image. What is this image? And this woman, Michael, probably, she is in charge of one of the hours. Let's look at this image. I'm trying to see. Oh, this is the part with the javelin. Okay. Oh, this all happened together. This is in First Samuel 19. Okay, an image. All right. Now let's look at this word. Okay, so the definition of this word image is teraphim. That's what it is in Teraphim. That's what it is in Hebrew. And it is an idols. It's for idols, idolatry, images, teraphim, family idol, a kind of idol used in household, shrine, or worship. Well, that's not really telling me much. What is a household idol? So I looked at the other references to it, right? And I got interested in this reference to it in Judges, and so I want you to listen to this. I'm going to read you. This is how. Listen, it's about Micah. This is how prophecy is playing out. You have Micah, as in cat, wearing a household idol for protection in front of Saul, represented by Shannon, the king. Can you interpret that another way? Anybody? Any of these interpreters out here? I'd love to have other interpretations, but no one else can interpret things the way that I do. So let's read about this. Not right now. I'm in the middle of something. Thank you. All right. So, but I just wanted to show you this, Micah. So it's referred to here in verse 4. It says, "Thus he returned the silver to his mother. Then his mother took 200 shekels of silver and gave them to the silversmith, and he made it into a carved image and a molded image, and they were in the house of Micah." Now let's keep reading this. "The man Micah had a shrine, and he made an ephod and household idols, and he consecrated one of his sons who became his priest. In those days there was no king in Israel. Everyone did what was right in his own eyes. Now there was a young man from Bethlehem in Judah, of the family of Judah. He was a Levite, and he was staying there. The man departed from the city of Bethlehem in Judah to stay wherever he could find a place. Then he came to the mountains of Ephraim, to the house of Micah, as he journeyed. And Micah said to him, 'Where do you come from?' And so he said, 'I am a Levite from Bethlehem in Judah, and I am on my way to find a place to stay.' Micah said, 'Dwell with me, and be a father and a priest to me, and I will give you 10 shekels of silver per year, a suit of clothes, and your sustenance.' So the Levite went in. Then the Levite was content to dwell with the man, and the young man became like one of his sons to him. So Micah consecrated the Levite, and the young man became his priest and lived in the house of Micah." Listen to this. "Then Micah said, 'Now I know that the Lord will be good to me, since I have a Levite as a priest.'" Y'all, I almost fell off the floor. These people believe that if they have the Levites as their priests, that they will be okay. Everything's going to be just fine. Go and call a Levite. Now, let me tell you why that's not true. This is talking about Micah. I'm just going to point something out in this, and I'm going to go to the next chapter. Look at what Micah says to him. Micah bribes him. He says, Micah said, "Dwell with me and be a father and a priest to me, and I will give you 10 shekels of silver per year, a suit of clothes, and your sustenance." So the Levite went in. It was not even he didn't negotiate the contract. He just accepted what this man offered him. Now, we have in chapter 18, the same thing happens again. This time with the Danites. All right, so here we go. Then 5 men who had gone to spy out in the country of Laish answered and said to their brethren, do you know that there are in these houses of an ephod, household idols, a carved image, and a molded image? Now therefore consider what you should do. So they turned aside there and came to the house of the young Levite man, to the house of Micah, and greeted him. The 600 men, armed with their weapons of war, who were the children of Dan, stood by the entrance of the gate. Then the 5 men who had gone to spy out the land went up. Entering there, they took the carved image, the ephod, the household image, the household idols, and the molded image. The priest stood at the entrance of the gate with the 600 men who were armed with weapons of war. When these men went into Micah's house and took the carved image, the ephod, the household idols, and the molded image, the priest said to them, what are you doing? And they said to him, be quiet, put your hand over your mouth, and come with us. Be a father and a priest to us. It is better for you to be a priest to the household of one man, or that you be a priest to a tribe and a family of Israel. So the priest's heart was glad, and he took the ephod, the household idols, the carved image, and took his place among the people. Listen, this Levite man, he did not put up a fight. Micah said to him, come and be my father and be my priest. He said, okay, sounds good to me, boss. You have another group of Negroes coming by. Hey, come and be our priest. Sounds good, boss. And he's gone. Who does that? No, I mean, for real, who does that? Who thinks that that's okay? You telling this man you going to be his God, his priest, his father. You pick everything up and you just go right along with the next group of people. Oh, they had weapons. The weapons of war, none of that stuff scared him. He didn't care about none of that stuff. Furthermore, they say several times, the ephod, the household idols, the molded image, and the carved image. 4 things they took with them. 4. Representing what? The mother, father, sister, brother. What's going on here? They took their representations of their gods with them. All right, so back to this real quick. So now we know what a teraphim is. It refers to household idols. It refers to those 4 things: the carved image, the molded image, the I forgot it already. The carved image, the molded image, the household idols, and the ephod. Okay, so now this also refers to Hosea 3 and 4. For this Hosea, we're going to look at the Orthodox Bible because something very interesting is going on in Hosea, and most of y'all's versions of Hosea is not this long. And the reason is, in the regular Bible, Hosea ends at chapter 3. You don't get the rest of Hosea. What I would encourage people is to go and pull out your Apocrypha. I think it has the full version of Hosea, all 14 chapters, or the link will be to that Hebrew Bible will be in the description. You can go and look at it there. Let me explain why this is relevant. Let me go back to chapter 1. I'll just read it. Okay, this is what the Lord said to Hosea. Go, take yourself a wife of fornication and children of fornication, for the land will surely go a-whoring by departing from the Lord. So he went to Gomer, this is Hosea, daughter of Dibleam, And she conceived and bore him a son. Again the Lord said to him, call his name Jezreel, for in a little while I will avenge the blood of Jezreel on the house of Jehu, and I will make to cease the kingship of the house of Israel. It shall be in that day that I will break the bow of Israel in the valley of Jezreel. So he had 3 children, okay? All right. So Gomer and Israel are unfaithful. Gomer was the wife that he took, okay? They were unfaithful to him. He laments about that, right? This is our story. This is what happened. This is why you need to read the full version. So then in chapter 3, it says, go yet again and love a woman that loves evil things. Now, mind you, Cat Williams said this in her interview. He said, if I went to a strip club, I would go in there and I would find a woman and I would tell her, you don't have to work here anymore. This is what this is. This is what that looks like in real life. This is how you apply that to a real situation. You go and you find these whores, these women who love evil things. This is why Kanye went and found a whore. Now you understand what's going on here. They're mimicking Hosea. Now, why they're mimicking Hosea, I can only say that is because we are in the time of Ephraim. And we have to come back to that in a little bit. But he goes and he gets a woman who loves evil things, an adulteress, even as the Lord loves the children of Israel, for they look after strange gods and love raisin cakes. So I bought her for myself 15 pieces of silver, a homer of barley, and a jar of wine. And I said to her, you shall stay with me for many days. You shall not commit fornication, neither shall you be for another man, but I will be for you. For the children of Israel shall abide many days without a king, without a prince, without a sacrifice, without an altar, without a priesthood, without symbols of revelation. So that Teraphim, it also this is what the household idols, the carved. Hold on. It says, okay, without a king, without a prince, without a sacrifice, without an altar, without a priesthood, and without symbols of revelation. Now let's go back over here. So he took the ephod, the household idols, the carved image, and took his place among the people. Where's the 4th thing? The ephod, the carved image, the ephod, the household idols, and the molded image. Let's see how they define ephod. I can't look it up. Wow, that's crazy. I can't look up that one word. Oh, dang, I can't do that. Let's see if I don't know what that word ephod means, but let's just say it refers to without an altar, without a priesthood, without symbols of revelation. Teraphim refers to these things too. Without a sacrifice, without an altar, especially without a priesthood, and without symbols of revelation. That's what that's why the Danites wanted the Levite, because they needed a priest. They knew they needed a priest. And they felt like the Levite was the only one who could be the priest. So the rest of this, if you read this, which I read a lot of it, I have to go back and read it again. It literally talks about how we got back in good graces with God, how we fell again, how we got back up again, how we sinned again. It goes through the whole thing. that is the reason why I believe they took it out of the King James Version, because it goes into detail about how we could be restored, what it would take for us to be restored. So that's what I'm going to read right now. This is chapter 14, starting with verse 2. Restoration of Israel. Return, O Israel, to the Lord your God, for you became weak through your wrongdoings. Take with you words and turn to the Lord your God. Speak to him, that you may not receive the reward of unrighteousness, but that you may receive good things. We will render in return the fruit of our lips. Assyria will not save us. We will not mount on horseback. Let us no longer say to the works of our hands, our gods. He who is among you shall have mercy on the orphan. I will restore their dwellings. I will love them willingly, for he has turned my wrath from them. I will be as a dew to Israel, and he shall bloom as the lily, and cast forth his roots as Lebanon. His branches shall spread, and he shall be as a fruitful olive tree, and his fragrance shall be as the smell of Lebanon. They shall return and dwell under his shadow. They shall live and be satisfied with corn, and he shall flower as a vine. His memorial shall be as the wine of Lebanon. To Ephraim, what has he to do any more with idols? I have humbled him, and I will strengthen him. I am as a leafy juniper tree, for from me your fruit is found. Who is wise and will understand these things, or prudent and will know them? For the ways of the Lord are straight, and the righteousness shall walk in them. But the ungodly shall become weak in them. So, Ephraim, let's go back. Now, when they say Ephraim, we're just going to pull this up so you guys can see it. When they say Ephraim, you may be thinking, okay, well, they're referring to a tribe. Well, the tribe is also associated with a astrological location. And the astrological location that Ephraim is associated with is Libra. And so right now, you have Libra and Aries, which is Judah, as our north and south node. So it is my understanding now the nodes entered into Aries and Libra on July the 17th, which was approximately a week before I started my fast on the 26th. That time, July the 17th, was when I really made the connection with Philomena as the representation of the daughter. That is what happened around that time. So, with the nodes being in Aries and Libra, it's some more stuff I want to go into, but the point of the matter is, this time from Aries, and when the nodes went into Aries and Libra, this is the time when the Leviathan could be defeated. This is the time when the justice could be called. And this is the time where the justice will be had. It's not just because it is in the astrology. It's also because it is a part of prophecy, which I just read to you. We have the opportunity with Ephraim being the ruler of one of the nodes to turn from the wickedness. This is our time to do it. So because we were asking the Most High, well, what does it look like? What does what we're supposed to do look like? We don't know. We don't have a frame of mind. We don't have a frame of reference. We were given an example in Cat Williams. He described exactly how we are to be. And if you read that whole book of Hosea, you will see exactly. It says that we're supposed to give to the orphans. It goes in, even in the Bible version, it has that part in there. I think it's in chapter 1 or chapter 2. So there's a lot of information in there that it describes how we are supposed to conduct ourselves when we are in charge, so that we can remain under, or we can continue to have the face of the Most High turned to us. So let's talk about his birth chart real quick. Oh no, I don't know how that happened. Please don't tell me that I lost my tab. OMG. Hold on. Come on, man. Here we go. I didn't even say that. Okay. So, if you didn't know, he was a Virgo, just like me, with heavy Scorpio placements, just like me. I'm also a Scorpio ascendant. He's got an Aquarius moon. But let me point out a few things. He has a placement that I also have, which is this Uranus Chiron conjunction. I also have that placement in my chart. He has, like most entertainers, he's got his sun in his 10th house, but he also has his Mercury in his 10th house and his Venus in his 10th house. And so what that means is those are the 10th house is the placements that the Most High gives to you directly. So first he gave him this incredible smarts with Mercury being the first placement in that house. Then, of course, the sun, so he can shine. And then he's also got Venus. So he's going to love, especially women, because Venus. Okay? This is all in his chart. And the Scorpio means he's going to come off as an overtly sexual person, which corroborates his story that his parents believed he was engaged in some activities he wasn't engaged in. So all of that he said is in his chart. And that's just to give a little corroboration, because it's not like this stuff is made up. It's everything is in your chart if you know how to read it. But most people, they don't get this far because they call it witchcraft. Now, as I mentioned, Ephraim is mentioned several times in the Hosea, all throughout Hosea, and even in the discussion of Micah. Wherever you see the discussion of Micah, you see a discussion of Ephraim. And there's also a book of Micah, which I haven't gotten to yet because I wanted to get this information out so I don't lose it. This is very significant because, again, as I mentioned, Judah is Aries. Ephraim is Libra. While the nodes... So, for people who are wondering what the timeline is looking like, I already gave you predictions for this year. Those predictions stand. Matter of fact, this strengthens those predictions. People, it is my understanding that people will have from now until January 11th of 2025 to make a decision to stand for integrity or the alternative. I don't know what the alternative is yet. I'm just trying to process this information because this is a lot. So if people are wondering if they have time to get things in order, whatnot, oh, is the end coming right now? No, you have time to get things in order. I highly suggest you focus on getting yourself in order and standing for what you're going to stand for and not taking any other actions that interfere with what you're going to stand for. That is my suggestion. I also suggest that you focus on what you want to see happen and don't get distracted by the things that you don't want. Really take that time to meditate and to get into what it is that you want, because the things that you don't want are going to present themselves, and it is going to be quite difficult to ignore a lot of that stuff. And so you want to really focus in on what you actually do want, what you want to see, how you want to live, all of those things. So this symbol, the helm of all, is a protection symbol. I highly recommend that you draw it, you print it out, you get it, carry it with you, whatever the case may be. I don't know why we need this extra layer of protection, but look what it did for Cat Williams. Look what it did for him. It is really, if you want to, he said something very interesting. He said, trampoline skin is something you have to ask the Most High for. And I said, when he said that, I said, well, what is trampoline skin? I want to know what that is. This is what it is. This is the Teraphim. It's trampoline skin. He called it trampoline skin. I thought, why'd he call it trampoline skin? Well, it's the Teraphim. He said the Teraphim is something you have to ask God for. So if you ask God for trampoline skin for the Teraphim, this is it. This is the Teraphim. He said you had to ask for it. I indeed asked for it. We indeed got it. Now, these are layers of protection. So let me explain this. If you have any of the other sigils that I've made, that's a layer, or any sigils, any at all. That's one layer of protection. That protects you from some things. But we have to layer our protections on us, because remember, they had 4 things. They had the carved images, they had the molded images, they had the household idols, and they had the ephod. They had four levels of protection. So far, we've got we've got 4. One level of protection from each entity: the mother, the father, the sister, and the brother. So this Teraphim is another level of protection. What does this protect us from? I'm not exactly sure yet. I'm going to do some more digging, but I wanted to get the information out there to you so that you could start to ponder it and draw some conclusions and do some research on your own. That channel I always mention, Argus, you have to go back into my little whatever page. He talks about this symbol. I need to go and actually listen to what he says. It's a lot of research that has to be done now in order to understand what this is protecting us from. But I know one thing it protects us from. It protects from those Norse gods. So we have protection from the Sumerian gods. We have a protection from the Norse gods. Now, I don't know if we're going to need protection from all these different classifications of God. Well, we have protection from the Norse gods, the Sumerian gods, the ghosts, and the charms. Now we're working our way up in layers of protection. I don't know what's coming in 2025 that we need all of these layers of protection. But one thing I can tell you for certain, there's no way that a Micah comes out and gives us all this information. I look in the book, it refers to a Micah and an Ephraim being the node, that's Libra being in right now, and all this stuff that's going on. There's no way that this is a coincidence. You can believe it's a coincidence if you want to. I'm not here to convince anybody of anything. What I'd like to do is to help you protect yourself from whatever it is that's coming. We do know that these other entities are going to make themselves more known. I would like to know for sure that when I go to the mall, that these whatever entities can't shapeshift out and invade my personal space or that of my loved ones. So I'm going to recommend you get this sigil or make it, carry it on you, meditate with it, whatever. I'm going to suggest that you use it because it's a protection from those Norse gods. Because if you go back and read the rest of the story of David, he ends up long story short, David becomes the king. Let me just put, because I'm like, I didn't even know how to put this into words. Long story short, with the protection of this Teraphim, David becomes the king. So you can't become the king just using any old protection. It doesn't work like that. So if you believe, and to prove it, Cat had this symbol on. So there's no middle ground for this. This is what's going on. And I highly suggest that if you're going to be the kingmaker of your family, the one who's going to make sure that you can baptize your family in the Red Sea as we pass along into the promised land, that you protect yourself as much as possible. I hope this makes sense for people. I hope people receive this with as much love that I can put into it. So shalom everyone, and we'll see y'all in the next video.